It's the Arch Advocate Podcast, dude. Arch Advocate Podcast. It's the number one most super fantastic podcast on the internet today. I am your host, Pete Dobson. Welcome back to the show. It is Thursday, March 21st. And before I get into anything, I'm just going to read your daily devotional, man. Because I get sidetracked, right? I start talking about what I'm going to be talking about, and then I end up talking about it. Then I come back and read you your daily devotional. Here's the thing, man. You got to get your mind right. Get your mind right, man. You got a lot of stuff to do today. You got to go to work. You got to deal with all those people. All those people and their stinky armpits and their bad attitudes and their fast food. Ugh. March 21st. Reading from the daily devotional book called Jesus Calling. It was written by Sarah Young. March 21st. Trust me and do not be afraid, for I am your strength and your song. Think what it means to have me as your strength. I spoke the universe into existence. My power is absolutely unlimited. Human weakness, consecrated to me, is like a magnet, drawing my power into your neediness. However, fear can block the flow of my strength into you. Instead of trying to fight your fears, concentrate on trusting me. When you relate to me in confident trust, there is no limit to how much I can strengthen you. Remember that I am also your song. I want you to share my joy, living in conscious awareness of my presence. Rejoice as we journey together towards heaven. Join me in singing my song. That's it, man. See, the whole thing is this whole time that we're going through, this age that we're going through, your success on navigating your way through it and getting to the other end of it with your life intact is going to hinge solely on your ability to focus on God and His strength and His goodness and His intention for your life. It's the only way that you're going to be able to remain sane. Because there's just craziness all around. And, you know, the thing is it's no matter what happens, there's always something behind it that nobody else can see or very few people can see. And that's, you know, it takes a long time to arrive at the truth. Whatever it is, I'll give you an example. All right, so Fox News just hired Donna Brazile. Now, on its surface, this doesn't make any sense. That's Donna Brazile. That's the lady who fed questions to Hillary Clinton and then got busted for it, and then continued to deny that she did it. Right? And then she wrote a scathing book about how corrupt the Democrat Party is. Whatever. On its face, it's controversial, right? Like, why would you hire her? Which one of your fans? Right? Because Fox News probably has, I don't know, millions of people watching every night. Sean Hannity or Tucker Carlson or what's her name? The other lady, that blonde-haired lady. I can't remember her name. Ingram, Laura Ingram. They probably have millions of people. Which one of those people wants to hear from Donna Brazile? Who wants to hear what Donna Brazile has to say? I don't want to hear what you have to say. You did something that undermined our republic. Even though it was to a small degree. You know, feeding questions to your friend, it's like, yeah, I mean that's wrong. It's evil. But I mean, you know, it's not, you know, on the list of things that you can do that are horrible. It's like, yeah, but it's not that. It's the principle. You did something to shift power in a certain direction. And when we're talking about, you know, the elections in the United States, you know what I mean? Like, you did something to exhibit what you think of our electoral process. you tried to poison the well in your favor, and it's like, look, if she were to come out and admit all of that, like, look, I tried to screw the American people in this tiny little way. I've really been thinking about that, I took some time off and I drove up to British Columbia, Canada, where the air is fresh. The trees are everywhere and they're green. And I just I really spent some time with God. And I realize now, like, just how awful that was. And I'm sorry. It's like, if I heard that, I'd be like, okay, all right. You are sufficiently penitent. But no, none of that's happened. None of that has happened. And it won't. That's not who those people are. So why? Right? We're all looking at this. For those of you that have heard that news, that Fox News has hired Donna Brazile, it's like, okay, this is confusing. And why is it confusing? Because I don't know why. Is Fox News trying to, because look, all the other mainstream media organizations combined don't have the same viewership as Fox News. So if whoever the head dude of Fox News comes out and gets on TV and says, listen, we're just going to take all the people from CNN and MSNBC, we're just going to take them because we can pay them more money and we can get these people to start saying what we want them to say. Right? We can control the narrative by taking these people that leftists already trust, and we can bring them over here and stick our hand up their backside and make them talk the way that we want them to talk. It'd be like, okay, all right, I guess that would make a little bit of sense. It sounds devious and evil, but I mean, I guess it, as far as rationality goes, I guess that would make sense. You know what I mean? We don't know. That's the problem. That's why it's so infuriating. It's not the thing itself. It's the fact that we don't know why. Why would you make that decision? If you're Fox News and you're selling, you know what I mean? Because listen, if you're in television, you're not there to produce a TV show. You're there to sell ad space for Ford Lincoln Mercury, for boner pills and Depends undergarments, whatever it is that they sell on those. You know what I mean? When you turn on TV, if you want to watch Gilligan's Island, you're not really watching Gilligan's Island. You're watching the commercials because that's who pays for that programming to be on. So from a financial sense, it's like, why would you have Donna Brazile on your TV show without explaining to us, like, why do you believe this is a good idea? Yeah, I'm open. My ears are open. Like, if you tell me something compelling where it's like, okay, I can see that, I'll go along with it. But it's just confusing. But it's not just that, is it? It's the other thing that happened a couple of days ago. Sorry, what day is this? Thursday? So last Saturday, I think it is. Judge Jeanine Pirro gets canned. Or at least temporarily suspended. I'm not really sure which one it is, but they took her off the air. And for what? Because she was pointing out that Ilhan Omar is an ungrateful immigrant. She was an actual refugee. In what that word refugee actually means, she and her family were actually that. They were living in Somalia, a shithole. And they had to run for their lives, and they ran to Kenya, I believe it was, where they lived in a camp for years. So now I think about it. Think about if it was just you and your family, and all of a sudden you're living in a tent city with, community toilets. You know what I mean? Like every single day, every time you go to take a shit, you gotta smell other people's shit. People that aren't your family. I mean, it's one thing. You know what I mean? It's one thing. I got, there's a lot of people that live in my house. I gotta smell other people's shit every day. It sucks. But it's like, all right, well, these are my people. When I change my son's diapers, it's like, oh, I gotta smell shit. That's all right. It's my son. You know what I mean? But I'm talking about the shit smell of strangers. If that was you living in a tent city, in a refugee camp because your nation, what, you know what I mean? Like, if you went to your nation, you would be killed. And so the alternative is like, I would rather live in this tent with all these strangers around me and smelling other people's shit and eating food that I don't have any control over my own diet. I can't cook my own food. I can't just do laundry whenever I want to do it. You know what I mean? I can't just put my feet up, find out if Gilligan gets off the island this week. You know what I mean? I can't do anything. I'm not free. Her and her family lived that way for years. Like 4 years, I believe it was. And I'm just saying, like, if that was me, that would be horrible. And then she gets her family, her dad, or whatever, they get rescued out of that horrible, horrific situation. And they get moved along with, I think it's like over 1 million other Somalis. They get moved to Michigan or Minnesota. It's one of those two. One of the Great Lakes states. They get brought to the new world, to the promised land. And they're given everything. And now this lady, she can't say anything good about the United States. It's like, bitch, we've been nothing but good to you. And by the way, we actually tried to fix your country. We tried to come over there and kill those warlords who were stealing all the money that we were sending over there, and stealing all the medicines that we were sending over there, and stealing all the food that we were sending over there. And people were starving to death and dying of very curable diseases. And Bill Clinton said, hey, you know what? That's effed up. Let's go over there and fix that. And we went over there and we tried to fix it. But instead of receiving a hero's welcome, we were attacked by the very same people that we were trying to help. And Bill Clinton, and it hurts me to say this, but this was one thing that Bill Clinton certainly did right. He just looked at the situation and said, okay, if we're not wanted, then I guess we're not needed. And we pulled out. Jeanine Pirro, and by the way, let me tell you something. I've never watched a full episode of Jeanine Pirro. Never once. Right? I watch Tucker Carlson every once in a while. I'll watch Sean Hannity. I like Sean Hannity's radio show. I don't really care for his TV show. I'm a big fan of Tucker Carlson. All right, but I'm gonna rip on his ass here in just a second. But I've never watched Jeanine Pirro. I don't, and the reason why I never watched her is because for me, she sounds like she's in a constant state of nursing a wicked hangover. I don't like her voice. I'm sure she has very important things to say. She's a judge. I mean, it takes a long time to become a judge. If you have that label, I have immediate trust in you. Judge, because it means that somebody, your community or the federal government, whatever, like people got together and said, this person is smart as a whip and fair and sober-minded. Even though there's a lot of judges that are bad, it's like still, I have to give you the benefit of the doubt if you've got that rank on you. But I've never listened to her show because I don't like the sound of her voice. That's it. It doesn't have anything to do with the content of what she's saying. I just don't like to listen to her. She sounds like a loud... you ever go to Florida? Everything bad happens in Florida, right? Hey, you want to see something stupid? You want to see something really funny? Go onto Google, like pull up Google and click on Google News, right? And in the search bar, type in Florida man and then your age, right? And if you're a woman, type in Florida woman and then your age, and just hit go. Press enter, press return, and see what pulls up. It's like all the bad things in life happen in Florida. But actually, Florida is very beautiful. Like Miami, the Miami-Dade area. Like if you go there in January, like in the dead of winter, the chilly dead of winter part, Miami is it's a paradise. In the dead of winter, the weather is just perfect. And the whole place reeks. It just stinks of coconut oil, man. It's like perfume in the air, Because there's coconut cheese everywhere. And coconuts have this oil that, it smells like... tanning oil, right? The whole place, it's beautiful in January. I mean, I don't recommend going there in August, but when you go to like South Beach, right? You go down to downtown Miami and then go over to the beach. That's South Beach right there. It's, easily one of the most famous beaches in the United States. You go down there and you see like a bunch of old people, right? Because it's very cheap to live in Florida. So, New Yorkers, when they get old, they just move down to Florida because it's cheap and it's warm out all the time. As you start getting older, your body has a harder time maintaining temperature. So for old people, it's great. And there's just old people everywhere that have that leathery skin from a combination of enjoying too many adult beverages and spending too much time in the sun. Their skin just gets old, like a catcher's mitt, man. It's just old and wrinkly and dark. Like the sunburn. That's what Judge Janine reminds me of. It's like she talks like she's nursing a hangover. There's just something about her voice and her look, and I don't like it. And I'm very superficial that way. I'm sure she has something very good to say. I listened to her monologue that got her suspended or shit canned or whatever happened. I didn't find anything objectionable about that. All she was doing was stating facts. She was stating facts. Like, listen, you're from a country that has a national average of 68. We tried to save your asses and you wouldn't let us. And then your ass was lucky enough to get sponsored by a refugee camp in Kenya where you stayed for years. And then we came and rescued your ass. And this is the thanks we get? Listen, everybody, there's more potty mouth coming. It's like, hey, this is why people lose their sense of generosity. It's like, man, we were so generous to you and this is the thanks we get? Well, guess what? Guess what's going to happen to the next Somali family that knocks on our door and says, please, you rich white people, please save me. We're going to say, no. Why would I rescue you? You're just going to come over here, infiltrate our Congress, and piss and moan about how terrible you think this country is. No more generosity. You see what I'm saying? That's evil. That's evil when you do things that discourage people from moving in the acts of the Holy Spirit, like generosity or compassion or forgiveness or these things. When you do things that discourage people from acting in those ways, it's there's a special place where you're going, special hell, as noted in Firefly episode Mrs. What was the captain's name? God help me. What was the captain's name on Firefly? Yeah, never mind. So she gets canned, right? Janine Pirro gets canned, but why? Why did she get canned? It wasn't just that she said those things. It was the response to what she had said. An organization called CAIR, CAIR. That stands for Council on American Islamic Relations. They sound so caring, don't they? Oh, we care. We care. And Nihad Awad is the founder of it. Now, they went to Fox News. They went to their sponsors. They went to the people who give Fox News money for airtime to air their commercials. All right? Maybe they went to Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Maybe they went to Depends Undergarments. Maybe they went to, Birch Gold or that company that sells sheets. Maybe they went to Sherry's Berries or the people that sell mattresses. I don't know. They went to those places and they said, look, this lady is an Islamophobe. And if you don't pull your support from Fox News, we're going to tell everybody that you are an Islamophobe. That's what happened. By the way, Mark Levin totally broke this down on his podcast 2 days ago. You need to know who CAIR is. Because when I tell you that they are a terrorist organization, I'm not just spitting conspiracy theories. They are a terrorist organization according to the United States of America. And guess who else? There is a place in the world called the UAB, the United Arab Emirates. I want you to pay close attention to that middle word. United Arab Emirates. Right, so that's, there's a couple of different countries in it, but they're Muslims. Those are Muslim countries, those are Arab people, those are Muslims. The United Arab Emirates has declared CAIR to be a terrorist organization, all right? Like, you know that you have effed up if you are a Muslim terrorist and a whole nother very powerful, very wealthy group of Arabs, another group of powerful, wealthy Muslims has deemed you to be a terrorist organization. You have effed all the way up. Oh, and by the way, one other little fun fact about Nihad Awad, the leader of CAIR. Yeah, I mean, just look at their thing. Like when you Google it, it says CAIR is Council on American Islamic Relations. The Council on American Islamic Relations is a Muslim civil rights and advocacy group. It is headquartered on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. with regional offices nationwide. Founded in 1994. Headquartered in the Washington, D.C. Leader, Nihad Awad. Purpose, Muslim activism. Nihad Awad is the man who actually... Okay. Making up words, right? I have a great deal of respect for men and women who take literature to such a degree that they earn the right and the power to create new words. William Shakespeare created a great deal, a lot of words, because he was a wordsmith. You know what I mean? Like it was his purpose in life to express the written word, and he was one of the best at it who ever lived, and he was able to create a whole bunch of words that never even existed before. That's power, and I appreciate that power. King David was also one of these. There's hallelujah, by the way. That was a word that did not exist until King David. He invented that word, right? He needed a word to express something, and that's what that word hallelujah did, and he created that. And why did he have the power and the right to do that? Well, it's because he was a wordsmith, right? You got to think of it like a guy, with an anvil and a big hammer, and beating on a piece of metal that's glowing red, and there's sparks flying everywhere. Smith, wordsmith, all right. The word that you had never heard before, up until last 20, 25 years maybe. That word that you never heard before, Islamophobe. Think about that. Go back in your mind. Go back to the 80s. Go back to the early 90s. Did you ever hear that word before? No, you didn't. You want to know how I know that you didn't? Because it didn't exist until Nihad Awad invented it. It is a made-up word, and the person who made it up was Nihad Awad. And by the way, that's proven. Again, you got to listen to the Mark Levin podcast. I strongly recommend it. He breaks the whole thing down. The way that happened is that CAIR, the Council on American Islamic Relations, held a secret meeting. I believe it was in New Jersey. They held a secret meeting, but the FBI found out about it, and so they bugged the place and they recorded everything. And the things that were said, talking about we're going to infiltrate Congress and we're going to infiltrate all these different places and hire, you know what I mean? Like, it's, again, not conspiracy theory. This is all stuff that was published by the FBI. And in that meeting, they said, listen, we got this new word and we're going to use it to shame people. Because we know these Christian people, they're very forgiving. And they don't like, because of who Jesus Christ was and what he taught, the Christian people are forbidden from being weak. Weakness is forbidden. Cowardice and sickness is forbidden. Like spiritual sicknesses, it's forbidden. And if you have a spiritual sickness, according to the gospel of Jesus Christ, you have to go to God and reconcile that sickness. That's the whole thing with Christianity. And because they know that, they said, let's invent this word so that when we use it on the Christians, it will force them to believe that they are sick and they need to repent and be healed of it. Islamophobia. Because a phobia is a sickness. It's a mental defect. I have a phobia. Don't ever drive in a car with me when there is one of those fuel trucks. You know, the big tanks on those trucks. Oh boy. My skin turns 20 different shades of white. My knuckles tense up. My body temperature falls. My heart rate goes up. I don't like it. Because when I was a kid, there was one of those things exploded, and I saw the aftermath not long after it exploded. It was devastating. So now I have a phobia of those things. I don't like it. That's a mental defect. Because with my rational mind, I know for a fact that it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. It's not going to explode. The reason why that particular one exploded was because it was in the 1970s and the rules were different back then. Anyways, there's people that have actual arachnophobia, and it is a medical condition. It's a sickness. I have a friend with arachnophobia. She can't deal with it. She can't deal with spiders, man. Freaks her out. I knew a lady once, I used to work with her, I don't remember what, she was from London, and she had that phobia of midgets, right? Like, that's a real thing. There are people, remember like in Austin Powers, he said he was afraid of midgets, carnival folk, couldn't deal with it. That's an actual thing, it's a sickness. You know what I mean? There's agoraphobics. There's people out there that are so mentally, their wires are crossed so badly that they cannot leave their house. They're prisoners of their own sickness. Now, look, I mean, you can think, you can laugh and joke about the midget thing or think that arachnophobia is silly or whatever. It's like, yeah, but it's real. These people actually suffer. It's very bad. What if all of a sudden you had agoraphobia? Just something, your wires crossed and you short-circuited and all of a sudden you couldn't see fit to leave your house. That would be hell, right? So when you say Islamophobia, you're saying I'm sick. I'm sick and I need to be cured, right? Of my fear of your religion. Now, as a Christian, not me, of course, because I'm a little bit more grown up, but there's a lot of Christian people out there who will hear that word and they'll say, no, I'm not sick, and they're going to go home and they're going to pray to Almighty God and say, God, please, I think I might have a sickness, please cure me. Wizardry. Islamophobia is not a real thing. Islamophobia is not a real word. It's not real. It's made up. And it's made up by Nihad Awad, and that is a fact. You know what I mean? Like when you read Dr. Seuss, right? Green eggs and ham, man. There's no such thing as green eggs and ham. It's made up. I know it's made up. Well, who made it up? This guy who went by the moniker of Dr. Seuss. It wasn't his real name. I don't remember what his real name was, but I can tell you that he did live in San Diego, which is something I'm very proud of, by the way. I don't know why I take pride in that fact. I never met the man. He's not my friend. Green eggs and ham is made up. Oh, who made it up? Dr. Seuss. right? Romeo and Juliet were not real people who lived. It was a made-up story. Oh, who made it up? Bill Shakespeare. Islamophobia is not real. It's made up. Okay, well, who made it up? Nihad Awad. He's a bad bunny. He's a bad guy. And it's clear. It's clear. The CAIR, Council on American Islamic Relations, is a terrorist organization, and Fox News capitulated. There's really no other way to see that at this moment. Because I remember, what was it, a couple months ago, Laura Ingraham, she was suspended for a little while, for like a week. I think that was over the Covington kids thing. They suspended her, and then they brought her back. And maybe that's what's going on with Janine Shapiro, I'm sorry, Pirro, not Shapiro. I was thinking of my 7th grade teacher. Janine Pirro. Maybe that's what's going on with her. Maybe there's some sort of strategy that Fox News has where they go back to their sponsors and they say, look, the fact is that the American people have the attention span of a goldfish. All right, what we're going to do, keep sending your money in, but what we're going to do is we're going to sideline her for a week, and then some horrible tragedy will happen somewhere else in the world, and we'll bring her back. Everybody will have forgotten about it. Because the American people can't pay attention. Because their brains are fried from staring into the screen of their phone, looking at their Twitter and their Facebook feed. Maybe. I don't know. But my thing is like, look. Make a stand. I don't care what your strategy is. And at this point in the game, it's like, listen, Fox News, you've got the money. You have enough money. You're fine, right? You find out which one of your sponsors doesn't want to stand with you, and you can excuse them. Take a stand for what you believe. And I'm not just over here. I'm not saying that as a principled argument. I'm saying that as like I've learned this in the real world. Again, I told you, like, I don't like to tell stories about myself, but like there was this one time when I was working in student loans, right? I was making over $100,000 a year. I was a star player, right? I was, as far as all of the statistics that we kept as a company, I was number one in most of everything. And because I wasn't there from the beginning of the company, like the places that I wasn't number one, I was still in the top 5 of everything. There were only a few other people that could produce at the level that I was producing at, and I did it day in and day out for years. And then I told them, listen, I'm going to go down to Australia for a month. I'm going to go down to Sydney, check out the big, opera house there. I'm going to go up to the Hunter Valley, and I'm going to drink really good wine. And then I'm going to go up to the Daintree Forest. And I'm going to check that out. I'm going to go to I'm going to go swimming in the Great Barrier Reef. I'm going to go skydiving over that ocean and over that rainforest. I'm going to land in a sugarcane field. It's going to be great. And I'm going to take a month. Because at that age, what was that, 2004? Whatever. How old was I in 2004? Whatever. 30 years old. I'd never taken a vacation before. So I was going to take a month. And the thing is that the policy at the company that I worked for is if you left for more, if you left on vacation, right? So not just sick days or something, like you could take off sick days, but if you went on vacation for a week, because that's how long, that's how much time you could accrue, was 1 week of paid vacation. If you left for a week, they would take your all of the work that you still had that was inbound. Right, like you'd mailed people off their paperwork, they signed it and they stuck it back in the mail and it was on its way back into the office. If you left, then all of that, those documents that you would receive your payment off of, you would lose all of that. Right? You wouldn't, and losing that was, you lose your bonuses, because that's, when I was doing that job, I was paid $15 an hour. The reason I made over 100 grand every year was because of the bonus structure, right? Commissions and bonuses and all that other stuff. So they would say, we will give you $15 an hour for 40 hours and nothing else. So I sat down with my employer and I said, look, here's the thing. You're not the only company, even in San Diego. There's 3 other companies here in San Diego that are contacting me pretty regularly, asking me to come work for them. But I don't, because I'm loyal and because the money here is good and I know everybody. But if you don't give me my entire book and every piece of mail that comes in with my name on it, when I get back, and the bonuses that go along with it, when I come back from Australia, I'm going to go work for your competitor or start up my own company, which I have the money to do. And they said, well, listen, we can't make exceptions. And I sat down. I remember the guy that I was talking to, who was kind of one of the bigger bosses, and I said, that's a funny word, exception. It's a funny word. There's another word, too, exceptional. And we make exceptions for exceptional people. And I am very clearly an exceptional person here because I'm one of your top producers. You know, I'm never down in the standings. I come in here, I do my work, I outperform nearly everybody. I'm exceptional. I'm not like the other 95% of your employees who hold my same job title. I'm exceptional. So yes, you will make an exception. Guess what? They saw it my way, right? I wasn't being an asshole when I was explaining to them. I was just saying, like, listen, I'm a salesman, right? Salespeople have a direct relationship to profit. Everybody in a company who is not a salesman has a direct relationship to cost. Not that those people are not needed, right? We need people that stuff envelopes and IT guys and managers. Like, all those things are needed, but all those things have a direct relationship to cost. I'm the salesman. I'm the only person in this company that has a direct relationship to profit. And so I got $15 an hour for as many hours as I was gone, 40 hours a week times, what is it, 3.5 weeks, whatever. Plus all of my bonus. There was like an $8,000 check waiting for me when I got back after being gone for a month. I was like, now that's what's up. So what I'm saying is like, when you are good, right? When you're good at your job, when you know what it is that you're there to do, and when you know your own importance, like it's not cockiness, it's confidence. Now, the way that I just relayed that story, I'm sure it probably sounded like I went in there, slamming my fist on the table. No, it was a very, cordial conversation. Congenial. What's the right word in that case? It was a nice conversation. I was just explaining, like, look, man, I love you, baby, but you're not the only girl at the dance. Other people are courting me. Why would you, whatever. So what I'm saying is Fox News, if they have sponsors, they have people who pay them money to run commercials. You can just go to them and say, well, listen, sweetie, I know a lot of our people have, a lot of the people who watch our programs have to buy Depends undergarments, and they have to take boner pills if they want to have sex with their wife. We realize that. But, here's the thing. There's other drug companies, right? There's other people who manufacture adult diapers. There's other people who make mattresses and fancy sheets. There's other people who sell contracts on physical gold, like Birch Gold. Which, by the way, one of these days, side note, if you're ever thinking about investing money with Birch Gold, find out if they're actually going to ship you physical gold. And if not, don't do it. All you're doing is buying a futures contract, and, it's options on a futures contract, and it's worthless. They're just scamming your money. If you're not getting physical gold, don't do it. Anyways, What was I saying? Oh yeah, so like when you know your own importance, you know what I mean? You just got bullied by an actual terrorist organization. An actual terrorist organization that has been deemed a terrorist organization by the United States of America and wait for it, the United Arab Emirates. The United Arab Emirates, the UAE, has designated CAIR to be a terrorist organization. The United Arab Emirates are Muslim people. Very wealthy. I'm assuming very educated. Right? Those people. Those Muslims have declared CAIR to be a terrorist organization. Like when you're a group of Muslim terrorists, like you've really gone off the rails when very rich, very powerful oil tycoon type, because that's what comes out of the UAE. That's when you know you've done effed up. And Fox News allowed themselves to be terrorized. Oh God. We're going to sideline Janine Pirro for a week or for 2 weeks, whatever, because CAIR is threatening our sponsors. Well, cover your kids' ears, because I'm about to drop some F-bombs. All right? You turn it off, get your kids to leave the room. All right, here it comes. Here's what you do when a terrorist organization starts going after your money supply. You go on your television program that you own and you raise up your middle finger and you say, hey, CAIR, fuck you. Fuck you. Oh, and sponsors, any one of you American companies want to give in to terrorism? Fuck you too. Fuck you. We don't need your money. We don't need your money. We don't need your products. We don't need you because there are other companies who produce a very similar product who would love the chance to come on to Fox News and advertise their product at a discount. All that money that you pay me to buy airtime on my show, I can sell it to your competitor for 1/4 of what I charge you. You think they're going to be able to come up with that money? Do you think they will be enriched? Do you think that if I go from Boll and Branch sheets and I start, I go over to JCPenney and I say, hey, you want to sell your sheets on my show? I'll tell you what, it's 75% off. And once you reach a certain amount in sales, then you have to start paying me 100%. Fuck you, man. Fuck you. Get out of here. Get out of here, CAIR. Go fuck yourself. And you sponsors that feel threatened because of this made-up word that Nihad Iwad, the leader of CAIR, he himself made that word up like Shakespeare or King David. He made that word up to push people around with. You tell those sponsors that what they do in response to terrorism is they go back to the terrorist organizations and they say, hey, you know what? Fuck you. You go tell everybody I'm an Islamophobe. Do it all you want. Do it all you want. Who are you gonna convince? A bunch of college kids that don't have any money? Look, we sell sheets. We sell fancy sheets and options contracts on gold and Depends undergarments and boner pills to working class people that have money. Who the fuck are you gonna convince to boycott me? Your whole fan base is people from Somalia who don't have any money. That are the only reason they're in this country to begin with is because of the good graces of the rich people of America. Fuck you, dude. Go ahead. I'll tell you what, Nihad Awad. You want to call me an Islamophobe? I will bring you on the Sean Hannity show. And you can tell the whole world that Fox News is a bunch of Islamophobes. I'll open the door wide open for you. Just to show you how big my middle finger is, I'll put you on my number one show. I will put you on the flagship. And I'll give you uninterrupted time. And you can just sit there and call every one of my viewers an Islamophobe. You know what I mean? Don't capitulate to these people. Capitulation just means you get eaten last. So anyways, I guess the whole point is like there's always more stuff going on behind the stuff. And it can drive you crazy because this is the thing. It's the confusion that is the venom. You know what I mean? It's like you get snake bit, right? And that snake puts that venom in you. And it's just full of all kinds of nastiness. You start getting sick. You know. The confusion is it's the venom. You see that Jeanine Pirro, who I don't care about. I can't even, on this podcast, I can't even consistently pronounce her name correctly. Because I don't care about her. Right? I'm sure she's a nice lady or whatever, but it's like, I just don't like her show. I don't like her voice. I don't like the way she looks. Yes, that's horribly superficial of me. Yes, I know that. I'm not a good guy. I never said I was a good guy. I'm horribly flawed. I'm superficial. And I won't listen to Jeanine Pirro. Because she sounds like she got hammered in Miami last night. Always, every time I turn on YouTube and it's like, I'll let it run, whatever, and the Jeanine Pirro show will come on because I was listening to something else and the YouTube just kept, throwing new shows up there. Every time I look at her face, like when I was listening to her actual monologue the other day, I'm serious. I'm like, were you just pounding Long Island's last night in Miami? In the middle of the day? Because you look sunburnt and you sound horribly hungover. And so I don't listen to her show, but I'm listening to her monologue and it's like, well, I mean, other than the fact that I don't like the messenger, I don't see what the problem with the message itself is. Well, it's Islamophobic. Okay, well, that's a made-up word, number one. It's a made-up word that doesn't mean anything. I'm not sick. I don't have a mental defect. And secondly, that word was made up by a man whose name is Nihad Awad, who is the leader and founder of a group called the Council on American Islamic Relationships, who the United States and the United Arab Emirates have deemed to be a terrorist organization. So, fuck you. But, I can't say it enough. Sorry, everybody. I told you I wasn't going to be cursing anymore. But, I mean, come on. You know what I mean? Somebody starts pushing you around, dude. Like, even if... It's like being a man, like if you get into a situation where some dude starts pushing you around and that dude is, in better shape than you, he's, the placement of his muscles would tell you that he's a fighter. You look at his ears and you see that he's got cauliflower ear. So he knows how to roll around. Like he comes up and you realize like, oh no, I'm going to lose this fight. I'm going to fight this guy and I'm going to lose. You still have to fight. You have to. Because if you don't, he's just going to beat you up tomorrow too. And your wife will be less appreciative of, your advancements, if you know what I mean. You'll lose respect. You will lose respect. If you don't fight, you will lose respect. If you fight and lose, you will gain respect. You know what I mean? Like if people know that it's like, like, yeah, I can fight that guy, but in the process, I'm going to get punched in the face at least once. Like, I'm going to get hurt. And they're not going to, you know what I mean? Like, you fight. You have to. Because if you don't, good God, everything goes wrong. Everything goes wrong. So you can go into that situation like, not that that really applies to this, because it's like, you know what, dude, fuck you. We're Fox News, dude. Fuck you. Go fuck yourself. Well, you know, Janine Pirro's got a show every Saturday. Guess what, CAIR? I think we're going to bump her up. I think we're going to give her a promotion. 5 days a week now, baby. You know what I mean? You let this terrorist organization, this Muslim terrorist organization, terrorize you in this day and age. Oh, and there's another thing too. Just really quick, the rumor, the gossip. Oh my God, the gossip. The rumor mill is turning now. It's just a rumor, all right. There's move along. There's nothing to see here, but the rumor mill is turning, and it has been suggested that once his contract has been satisfied, Sean Hannity will be leaving Fox News. Bang. Bang. Now listen, again, it was just an article that I read from somebody who's probably living in his mother's basement just writing bullshit. Could very well be that, all right? But this is what I've been saying the whole time. I don't like Fox News. I don't. I do like Tucker Carlson. I don't like Sean Hannity's show on Fox News. I love Sean Hannity's show on the radio. It's a completely different show. He's a completely different man on his radio show. There's a reason why Rush Limbaugh does not work at Fox News. He's a strictly radio guy. There's a reason for that, right? And the reason is confidence, right? There's a certain amount of money that you can make where you just can't spend it, right? Once you pay off your house and your land, and you squirrel away enough money for your kids' education and for medical emergencies and that sort of thing, like there's a certain amount of money, and it's not very much, by the way. There's a certain amount of money that you get to where it's just like, wow, this is just overkill at this point. This is really just an embarrassment of riches at this point. I can't even spend this money. I'll never be able to spend this money. There's a certain amount of fame too, right? You're never going to be more famous than Tom Cruise, you know? But you're not a movie star. So you're never going to be more famous than Bill O'Reilly, Rachel Maddow, you know what I mean? Like in the newsy business, there's only a certain amount of fame, and the pinnacle of that fame is like Walter Cronkite, Bill O'Reilly, you know, these kind of people. It levels out. And you should know when you've hit that plane. And Rush Limbaugh does. He's never going to be more famous. He's never going to be more rich. He can't spend the money he has. You could offer that guy $1 billion. He still wouldn't take it because it's like, if I want $1 billion, I'll just reach out to my listeners and say, hey, everybody, I just opened up this GoFundMe. I want to raise $1 billion. Everybody send me $5. You know what I mean? That guy has power. And because I've said this before, it's like, listen, Tucker Carlson, dude, you are at the pinnacle of your fame. You're never going to be more famous. There is no more. You know what I mean? You're never going to be more rich. You've peaked out, right? At this point in your life, as long as you've been doing it, as many different networks as you've worked at, if you don't have your house paid off at this point, well, that's on you. You're stupid. I know you used to have a drinking problem, whatever. Who hasn't? But it's like, dude, you're at the pinnacle. You don't need to stand by and watch Fox News, your employer, cower to a known terrorist organization of Muslims. A Muslim terrorist organization that a group of other Muslim nations have deemed these people to be terrorists. Like, it's not, there's no gray area there. I would allow for some gray area if it was just the FBI. If it was just the United States of America saying, okay, these people are terrorists. But it's not. It is the United Arab Emirates as well. And those are Muslim people. And they have deemed CAIR to be a terrorist organization of Muslims. It's like there's no... Boy, talk about black and white. Right? There's no room. There is no room. They are a terrorist organization, and Tucker Carlson and Jeanine Pirro and Sean Hannity and Laura Ingraham, it's like, listen, you are sufficiently famous. You can now go out and you can start your own podcast. It costs $75 a month on Libsyn. You can have a YouTube show. And if YouTube shuts you down, you can get together with all of your rich-ass friends and you can start your own Google. You have money. And all of the people that you know, they also have money. You can stage a revolution of how news is distributed. And if it's true that Sean Hannity is going to be jumping ship once the obligations of his contract have been met, that would be huge. I hope that there's something to that story. Because you can tell Tucker Carlson has a lot more to say than what he's saying. This news about CAIR, bullying Fox News, there is a deafening silence on Fox News about this topic. You mean to tell me Sean Hannity and Tucker Carlson and the other lady, Laura Ingraham, you mean to tell me that those three people have nothing to say about that? Is it possible that your employers came to you and said, hey, news person that works for me, do not talk about Jeanine Pirro. Do not talk about CAIR. You will not talk about this. Or else you will be in violation and we will take money from you. You know what I mean? There's the times they are a changing, and I would love it if one of two things happened. If Sean Hannity, Tucker Carlson, whoever else are big shots over there on TV, if they just left and they just left gay Shepard Smith in their place, and say, okay, Fox News, see how well you do now. Why don't you go over to CNN and hire Chris Matthews? See how long it takes before you're in the dumpster with CNN. That's how you get your employer to do what needs to be done, to do what's right. You go to them and you say, look, I'm famous and I'm rich. You have made me famous and you have made me rich. Now I'm going to take all of my fame and my wealth, and I'm going to take all of these other people who are also rich and famous, and we're going to start our own thing like Dave Rubin did, and Joe Rogan, and Gavin McInnes, and Owen Benjamin, and all these other people, and we're just, and we're going to go over to Rush Limbaugh, and we're just going to start our own thing, and we're going to talk about whatever the hell we want. Or you can do what I'm telling you to do and let me do what I want to do. That was the point of that story earlier. It's like, dude, when you are good, when you're good at your job, when nobody else can do it the way that you do it, and it's just infinite success. It never ends. It's like every time, like when I was a trader, it's like every time I pick up that phone, you're going to hear some mastery. Every time I get a client on the phone, it's like you're going to see what salesmanship is. And every time Tucker Carlson or Sean Hannity, these people sit down, it's like, dude, when I sit down and I start talking, you get mastery. This is why we have the ratings that we do. It's not you, whoever owns Fox News, it's me. And without me, you don't have these numbers. I'm not trying to be a dick, but the fact is that I am the product. I am the product. These numbers happen because of me. Don't let the wizards in. Don't let this Nihad Iwad guy come in and be like, oh, I shall cast a spell. Abracadabra, Islamophobia. That spell doesn't work on me, you son of a bitch. You terrorist. That shit doesn't work on me. You gotta go to a college campus where the people are young and stupid. That shit works on them. That doesn't work on me. No, I'm a rational person who has a life of the mind. I read books that smell of leather bindings. I smoke fancy cigars. I drive a very large automobile. You know what I mean? I don't need you. I don't need you with your made-up words. Get out of here. That's the show for today. Send me money. Archadvocate, paypal.me/archadvocate. PayPal.me/archadvocate. Also hit share. You dirty bastards. Hit that share button. And I will talk to you tomorrow.